Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 211 for Tuesday the 18th of June 2024. I'm your host Mark Webb, gamertag Pearson ID, Steam ID, Webby 360G, and joining me on this very fine evening is...
It's Sensei Switch.
And that's it, it's just me and Darren, and we are recording Sunday with Dougster watching us live on Twitch, so hello Dougster. And I do realise that the football game starts in 25 minutes on Sunday, which is probably why we're not going to get very many Twitch viewers this week, but that's okay. So obviously most people will be listening to this Tuesday onwards anyway, so you already know the scores, and that's okay. Unfortunately, I do need to start the podcast on some quite sad news. Unfortunately, another member of our community sadly passed away this past week. I don't know if many people actually knew this guy, but he's been in the community for quite a long time. I looked back through the Facebook group, and he joined the group in 2012. He's been on the Discord since day one. So long time community member. He was a Patreon. He was on the Discord, boosting the server. So quite an active member as a supporter. So some of you will probably know him as gamertag Redtone6. I did notice when I looked at his Xbox profile, quite a few people on his friends list are the same as me. So like you, Darren, and quite a lot of other people like Sensei Switch, that's you, Stuntmaster, Dan, Colin, and a few other people. So it's just sad news, and it's one of those really hard things about running a community for so long, because it's been about 16 plus years now since this has been going. In the last few years we've had 3 people sadly pass away. So we had Nats a couple of years ago, was about 3 years ago now. Then we had Hogarth in December, and now his full name is Anthony.
Actually, yeah. I remember his actual full name now. It's all just come to me.
Yeah, Anthony Redman.
On PlayStation. Yeah, it comes up on PlayStation, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's a strange one. So just a little bit of how I found out, and this is odd. So his mum sent a message on our Discord in the general chat, in the general video game chat, from his account. So obviously she logged onto his phone and sent the message. That's... Where is it? I just need to go to... I was looking back through messages. So his mum put a message so it was 2 days ago on Friday, and pretty much at 9 p.m, just saying, hi Webby, I'm Redtone's mum. I keep checking his phone because I need to tell his gamer friends that sadly he's died. He thought the world of you all. I don't know if you're in the country, but his funeral is on the 27th of June at 12:30 at Chesterfield crematorium. So I'm going to make every effort I can to attend the service on that date. So that's what I'll be doing. But just a little bit more news. See, even though he's been a long community member, I have no idea how old he is. Never, because this is what it got me thinking in the last couple of days, right? So a lot of us, we all game together, but we never really get to know each other too much. Like a lot of us, like on a kind of a personal level, to the point of, how old are you? Are you married? Some of us, because there's so many people in the community, and we all chat every so often and we game every so often. But as I say, there's a lot of people where we don't know some kind of personal details, right? So it's just it is a bit of a shock because so I emailed his mum anyway, and I just asked her, I said, look, thanks for letting me know. I'll make every effort I can to go to the service. I just said, like, what happened, because I'd never, because the last time we spoke, me and Redtone, was about 3 or 4 months ago on the Discord in a private chat, just about Enshrouded. And he never mentioned being ill or anything. And it was it's mad, like, so just to make people aware of what's happened. He had a heart attack whilst he was having a driving lesson. So the story is that he was having a driving lesson, and he said to his driving instructor that he didn't feel well. So they pulled the car over, and he got out the car for some fresh air, and he collapsed, and he died on the scene outside the learner car. And that's it. It's absolutely mental that's happened. And it just makes you realise, life is short and you just don't know.
No. Yeah.
But it just seemed to me like, how old is he? Because I had a little look for his Facebook. So I don't know how old he is, right? So I thought to myself, well, he can't be that old if he's having driving lessons, but people obviously have driving lessons at
any age, really.
Any age. But when I was looking through his profile, it looked like he was quite a fitness guy, because he's got all these medals for running on as pictures.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so like, if you like, so all these running things. So you like, basically there's this fitness running club, and once you do X amount of miles, you get a medal, and he's got loads of them. So it just seems, it's just quite a shocker for someone who seemed to be quite a fit and active person.
There are, I mean, obviously not to go into too much, but you can obviously, I could be doing things like that, and I could then suddenly find out after I've gone that I had like a defect that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of sports people, isn't there, that basically have collapsed on the pitch or collapsed like while they're playing a game, and then they've said like, oh yeah, you've got a heart defect. We just never managed to pick it up, and then obviously that's why a lot more of the health and safety stuff goes in now when they're like examining like athletes and stuff.
So it is horrible, mate, because it is a shocker when anyone, especially when it's someone's mum who's, as a parent myself, the last thing I would want to experience is any of my children dying before me at any age, right? So, I can't even imagine what she's going through right now. So, for her to be going through her phone to let all his gaming mates know.
It can't be easy at all.
No. And obviously video games was a massive part of his life, right? And the fact that she said that he thought the world of us all, of the community, that touches me, that, he's been a member of the community for so long, he really enjoyed the times gaming with all of us and being part of the community and talking on the Discord, because going through his social media, he didn't really do Facebook. He didn't really do Twitter. He just really did the Discord with us guys.
So he had his brain screwed on then after a while.
It's always the sensible ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, he's been a valued member of the community, as I say, for a very long time. Gaming seemed to be his passion. We, as I say, we'd always have little chats about different PC games because he did a lot of gaming on Steam as well. So, yeah, it's just awful, and as I say, it's just one of those horrible things. You're getting up, like we're all getting a little bit older, and it's just happening more and more, isn't it? To different people, different things, and I mean, you can have a look. Looking at his profile on Steam, look, he had 1,660 games on Steam. You know what I mean? He's a massive gamer.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, massive PC game, big Xbox gamer. So yeah, as I say, it's just, yeah, it's just, as I say, there's nothing else I can say really. It's just really, really horrible. As I say, if anyone else knew him from the community and wants to go to the service, please send me a message and let me know, because I will most likely be going, to be honest with you. I'm like 90% sure I'm going to go. Because Chesterfield, I've checked, it's about an hour and a half drive for me. It's not too much of an effort, really. I just have to take the day off work. That's not a problem.
Bummer.
I know.
Yeah.
What a shame. So yeah, I think it's really hard to explain, right? Because I feel kind of like a bit. I kind of, well, not owe it, but I think it'd be nice to chat to his mum. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just talk about gaming times and stuff like that. So, and I say it's never nice when things like this happen. And I felt a bit odd when Hogarth passed away in December because he never had a service.
Oh.
No. So, yeah, it was just weird because you kind of didn't get that closure in a weird way because you didn't go and do anything, if that makes sense,
I mean, it's I've had sort of closed services for sort of family members where it's like just close and personal people, like in a really small sort of venue, and then mainly a lot of other people turn up to the celebration, the celebration of their life thing afterwards.
Yeah. So as I say, I don't know if anyone else wants to do anything. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, right? But I think the least I can personally do is go. But as I say, it's just shit. Especially something unexpected like that. So there's nothing else I can really say on it. Really, I've actually I've made a little channel in the Discord as well called Legends. So I've added like all the three lads who've passed away the last few years, just added them a little, I've got them their own kind of Discord room where we can all talk about them. But I've also given them all, what's it called? A role called Legends as well. So you can find them easier on the Discord too. So it's just a nice, I think it's just a nice, like everyone grieves in different ways, right? So it's just a nice way to remember people, right? So because we had Nats with his, his brain tumor. Hogarth obviously had all his photos that he loved, all the space photos, and obviously Redtone, who loved his gaming and was a huge supporter of the community, especially on the Discord.
It is kind of weird because whenever I see like things on TV programs, actually, to be honest, where there's like, oh, you got a telescope and all that lot, I always think of Hogarth.
Yeah, that's right.
He used to post them all up on like the old socials and that.
Yeah, and it, and it's just a weird place we are in, just in like in life. You go, because a lot of us met online. A lot of us have never met each other in person, but we know each other really well, and it's like it's weird because because sometimes you kind of forget there's an actual real person at the other end of that mic or the other end of the keyboard. And then when something like this happens, it just kind of brings you back to reality a little bit, I don't know, it's hard, and I really feel for his mum, as I say, because it's just awful. But I'm really glad that she's managed to get into his phone and managed to message us on the Discord. So that's good. So that's the little backstory. That's what's happened this week. That's very negative. Sorry to start off the podcast this way, but it's something that I think we should be doing when we find out about people that have long gone. I'm sure there's probably been other people that we've gamed with and they just never, we just think they're offline and they've probably passed away and we just don't know because people can't get into their phones, their computers or anything and get them on and get onto their services to let people know. And that's something that I think about sometimes, it's just a bit odd, but yeah. So yeah, rest in peace, Redtone. It's horrible, mate. And yeah, that's all else I can say, really. Okay, so it's really hard to move on from a discussion point like that. It really is. But we must move. We must, get on with the show. And obviously, we will remember you, mate. But you'd want me to be podcasting away, so I'm going to carry on and talk about some video games with Darren here. So, Darren, I have been playing a few games this past week, and I wanted to talk about a couple, but at the beginning of the show because I believe this might be Patreon week, so there'll be a cut-off at some point. I haven't decided when for this week yet, but I wanted to talk about two games because they're very similar. The demo for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I'm liking it, mate, and it's weird because I know it's been getting a lot of hate online. But I think it's got its issues, right? It does have its issues. Like the performance isn't very good, isn't great, shall we say?
I got that's probably tied into the other reason that people are upset.
What's that?
To be honest, the always online aspect.
Yeah, well, I was going to get So, well, the test drive. Well, I'll get into the Test Drive Unlimited 2 in a minute as well. But yeah, so Solar Crown, it's made by a different team completely from the original Eden Games who made the original Test Drive because they actually got shut down. So this company's just bought the name out. And I'm going to go through a few negatives before I get on to a lot of positives, to be honest, because I do think I actually think I'm going to enjoy this game because I quite like these type of niche titles. So the negative is the performance isn't great. I mean, I'm running the 3080, the decent CPU, and i7 12700K, and I'm getting between 40 and 50 FPS, which isn't bad really if you think about it. But that is only at 1440p though, so I think they've got some work to do on the old performance.
Well, yeah, you kind of want a racing game to at least run at 60, don't you?
Yeah. I think...
especially if it's online with a lot of other people flapping about.
Yeah, but what I have been reading online is that this is quite an early build of the game, but they just wanted to put a demo out for people to enjoy.
See, I kind of get that, but you can have the opposite effect where people will play it and be like, oh, God, this is worse than I thought, and they'll put them off.
Yeah.
So this is why in Japan, or with the Japanese developers, a lot of them kind of tend to not put demos out for their games.
Right.
And it's due to the fact of, like, them not giving a good representation of the final product.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that, mate. Um, but really, that's kind of the only negatives I've got because I know some people like I've seen people in the Steam forums moaning about the graphics, but I actually think it looks decent. You know, it's not up to say Gran Turismo 7 standard, but I think it looks good. You know, it looks decent. Um, you know, and it's got some really like so the reflections on all the buildings on the car look great. The lighting in particular at night looks really good. Um, you know, I think that looks good. And when you're walking around in all these different buildings, it looks really good as well. Like so, what it's taken from the old test drives is all that kind of life stuff that you had in the original. So you have to go to like a clothes shop and you walk around it and buy your clothes. You go to hairdressers and get your hair done. You know, like I got to a club because one of the games is the streets.
All
And
right,
they've
yeah.
got a club. So to get your missions and stuff, you have to walk into the nightclub and it's all neon lights and it's pumping music and you've got to walk down and talk to someone in there and people dance on the dance floors. So it really gives you those vibes of, you know, you're not just driving around, you kind of live in this lifestyle. And that's kind of what you got from Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So, you know, and I was just thinking back to when the originals come out, and they never reviewed too well anyway, because I think they are quite niche. But I really liked them because I really liked those aspects of the game, like in this one and the same in the old ones. Right, you put it into first person mode, you know, inside car view, and you like unwind your windows, you do your indicators, you can make the roof, like, you know, if you've got a soft top, like go up and down, and it's just like you feel like you're sitting in the car. Yeah. And that's really cool. And what else they've done is the whole game is a one-to-one representation of Hong Kong.
Right, that's
And
good.
and I watched a video on YouTube where this someone who lives there was comparing it like the game with real places that they know and putting pictures on there, and it's exactly the same. Even the shops are all called the same and everything.
Oh, that's
Um,
good. So you could like, if you lived in Hong Kong and bought the
yeah,
game, you could literally drive to work and do all that kind of
pretty,
stuff, I guess.
pretty much. But what they have done apparently is in the game they've made the roads a lot wider than in real life because obviously it wouldn't make for a good racing game if you had really narrow
Right.
streets and stuff. So that's kind of the liberties that they've taken with it. But the actual because it's not just the city, right? It's all the kind of outside areas like the little villages and just the highways and off roads and all that. So the map is really big. Obviously, it's not as big as Test Drive Unlimited 2 because you had all of Ibiza and all of Hawaii in it. But it's still a big map actually. So I spent about 4 or 5 hours playing the demo now, just cruising around. There is quite a bit of the island which you can't get to in the demo, but what you can get to, there's quite a lot. So even what you can get to, there's a lot of driving to do, if that makes sense. You know, it's a big area, and I quite like that they've given you that option. Yeah, because they've given you quite a lot to play with. So that's really good. The actual feeling of driving the cars, if it feels they feel good, like they feel weighty.
That is good because
Yeah,
I like it was always kind of weird. But my least favourite sounds completely strange. My least favourite aspect of Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2 was
yeah,
the racing.
yeah,
It just generally was the races. Like
right, yeah,
everything else I loved,
yeah,
the races were kind of like the most irritating or felt the worst.
yeah,
Like there was no, like I much preferred just cruising around on my own, like you said, living the
yeah,
life,
yeah,
driving
yeah,
to the casino, going playing some hands of like poker or going on the roulette,
yeah,
etc. And then
Yeah.
nipping off down the shop with your winnings to go and test drive a brand new motor and maybe purchase a new
Yeah.
car or whatnot. It's just good fun.
Yeah, you
And
know,
then
and
cruising around with your mates online,
yeah,
because obviously like the communities you'd build up. I remember once there was like about 4 or 5 of us
yeah,
that were on really late one night,
yeah,
and we bumped into another group of people who were German,
yeah.
and we all went on like a 2-hour cruise around the
Mm,
island, going to all the different photo spots and stuff.
yeah,
Great fun.
yeah. I mean, I've got lots of fond memories of Unlimited 2 doing that exact same thing. I think you were in a lot of it with me as well, Darren, you know, just cruising. And to say, like, I must have some photos somewhere. I need to find them, like, of us all, like, parked up on beaches and stuff like that in test drive. And I must have put them in the Facebook group. I'm going to have a hunt round actually later and see if I can find them. You know, I've got a lot of fond memories of it. And I'm going to get into the game in a minute as well, because I've been playing it again this past week a lot. But I just want to just talk about the demo a lot more. So what they've done so far in this build, I think, is decent. I mean, there is a few negatives again, which I've forgotten about, right? So even though it's in Hong Kong and everyone drives on the proper side of the road, left-hand drive, of course, you know, the proper side of the road, all the cars are left-hand drive that I've seen so far, and it just feels a bit weird that they're not right-hand drive cars. Even the Japanese cars, like the Subarus and the Mitsubishis and stuff like that, they're all left-hand drives. It just seems a bit, it seems a bit off to
It
me.
makes
Yeah,
sense, because
yeah,
like considering the side you get out of your driver's door when you've pulled up, it does make sense to obviously drive on a certain side of the road, but we don't.
yeah. So that's like a little nitpick for me. It's just that really, but as I say, the weather effects are really good. So it's got a full day night cycle, which I've experienced by playing the demo. Fantastic. It looks gorgeous, and the weather's really good as well. So um, when it's raining, all little puddles form up on the tarmac. And then when you're driving through the city and say it's night time or you're going past like a sign, like the sign's like reflected in the water, like really well. It looks really good. I mean, obviously it's not ray tracing, but it looks kind of like it because it's just the way it's presented just looks really, really nice. And I think that might be one of the hindrances to the performance a little bit, because I think the game does look nice. I really do. And as I say, like, I just love the detail of the cars, just like with the windows and the indicators and shit like that. It's just really cool. Yeah, there's loads of different races, and because it's in Hong Kong, you got like the mountainous areas with like all the twisty, turny mountains you go up or down. So you know, like in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and they have that mountain they go down, and they're all like,
Yeah.
you know, going down it. Like it's got like a similar mountain in this, so you like kind of drift mountain.
They had one of those, didn't they, in one of the Need for Speeds?
Yes, they did. Yeah, and it just looked like it's actually like, because you think Hong Kong, oh, it's just a city, but exploring the map, it's really quite varied, because there's like a whole kind of off-road section of the map. There's an airport. There's an actual racetrack in the map somewhere as well that you can race around. As I say, it's quite an ambitious title, actually, to be fair. I mean, I know it's been in development for about 8 years, I believe, and I can't get over all the moaning that people do online. Oh, it doesn't look finished. Oh, it doesn't look shit. What they've been doing. But I'm like, it's a one-to-one scale of a real place. And, you know, technology's changed through the years, console generations and stuff like that, right? Can you not just enjoy it for what it is? I just don't understand that. Yes, I can understand that people are upset with the performance issues. I get it, right? Um, but I think they will get it sorted at some point. But what I'm quite intrigued to see is what it's actually like on console, because there's not actually a console demo. So I'm really interested to see what those previews and reviews
Well,
say
that's
about
it.
this on
That's
console.
obviously the worry with someone like
Yeah,
yourself who's got a pretty meaty PC,
yeah,
and you're having performance issues. It's like, oh, that's possibly not a good sign. But then It could be capped on console as well.
Yeah, you never know.
Like the resolution could be capped, or the frame rate could be capped.
Yeah,
Either or,
yeah.
regardless. Talking about how ambitious the game was, you think of how ambitious Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2 were anyway, and that was like over a decade ago.
Oh, I know. I mean, I think, when did Test Drive 2 come out? 2008, I think? Something like that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was interesting about Test Drive 2 that never ended up happening as far as I'm aware is because obviously it was one of them was set on Ibiza, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And they actually had like Pasha and some of the actual nightclubs in the game. Right. And originally you were supposed to be able to get out and walk into the nightclubs, and they'd actually have live DJ sets from obviously a lot of the big name DJs of the time.
Yeah.
That would be playing sets in the clubs and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So Test Drive 2 actually came out in 2011. If you wish to listen to the rest of this week's awesome episode, you need to subscribe to the Patreon. So head on over to patreon.com/360gamercast. Sign up there for as little as £5 a month, and you get a full episode every single week of the year, and any specials that we do. This episode is 1 hour and 46 minutes long, and myself and Darren discuss many games which you will be missing out on if you do not subscribe. So again, that website address is patreon.com/360gamercast.